very common
Pink Donkey
in the
Kong
literature
Jr., who is playable
about
in
exotic
DK Math.
manifolds or surfaces with
Pink
values.
Donkey
so
Kong
let me
Jr.
sort of try to give you a flavor of what that looks like.
Pinky Kong. Last in the
Questions
Kong
before I
family, we got Grouchy Kong, Cranky's great aunt. They're mentioned once. I don't think they matter. Now, Diddy Kong is in a relationship with Dixie Kong. We know less about Dixie's end. Her younger sister is Tiny Kong, and they're cousins with the brothers of Chunky Kong and Kitty Kong. Now, there's way more unrelated Kongs outside of these families. Thanks again, Mario Movie. There's hundreds of you. They're like Smurfs. They all serve tinier purposes. They're named after the thing they do. But the more important ones are a part of the greater DK crew. It used to be the Kong Clan, but if you make that an acronym, that's very bad. We're not gonna call it that. Kongs that we know of that most likely are not related include Mario Kart Legend, Funky, Lanky Kong, Manky Kong, Sumo Kong, Ninja Kong, Dread Kong, Karate Kong, Bink Kong, a Dry Kong from Superstar Saga. Baby Kong could be anyone's baby. We don't know who this baby is. Real Housewives of Kongabonga. There's chained enslaved ones from Mario RPG, Super Kong, Super Diddy Kong, Redneck Kong, Swanky Kong, the Fedora Kong everyone thought was DK's dad because the two theory videos that said that, Kong Fu, Eddie the Mean Old Yeti, the ever iconic, lecherous hunk of a funky monkey, Bluster Kong, we'll get back to you, I like you, and of course, the worst Kong, the downfall.
So, Kyle's argument
Candy
is
Kong.
very
She
straightforward.
makes me sick. It's literally neuron activation, the character for Donkey Kong. She sucks. I'm only saying that because of the show. She's actually fine in games. By the way, for the country games, I'm combining the GBA and the SNES games, so they're the same game in story. I don't know why these cutscenes weren't in the original games, but they aren't. So the game starts, DK lives in a treehouse directly above the Kong Banana Horde, the main storage center for Kong food. Specifically for Donkey Kong, he loves his bananas, so DK has Diddy go on night watch while he gets a healthy 7 hours and 45 minutes of sleep. But here's where the Kremlings make their first real move for expansion. They gotta get their hands on some more land, and then they decide the most logical move would be to starve the Kongs and make them too weak to resist takeover. And then just like your mother back in college after 2 shots, the Kremlings want to get their hands on as many bananas as possible. The Kremlings show up, Diddy gets jumped, stuffed in a barrel, Cranky's pissed, it's time to slaughter the crocodiles for their misdeeds. And so, the duo make their way through the invaded Kong Island only to confront K. Rool and jump on his head with their primitive powers and successfully concuss K. Rool, grabbing their bananas and doing exactly what they always do. Let's take a look at K. Rool. He's a little bit twisted. He's not like other people. So on November 1st, 1995, his plan for the next invasion comes up to 3 major things. 1. Kidnap DK and only DK because his name was on the title of the last one. 2. Dress up as a pirate. He's Captain K. Rool now. And 3. Do other stuff when convenient. I guess he doesn't invade again. And then honestly the Kongs just come to them and they hope nothing bad will happen. So Diddy finds out about this. He scuttles over to Dixie and goes, Babe, my uncle's been kidnapped by the crocodiles. We need to kill them.
A 4-manifold built out of a 1-handle.
And so begins Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's quest. The pair make their way to Crocodile Isle, the homeland of the Kremlings. It's dreadful, gross. They got Bramble Blast at least. This is great, I like Bramble Blast. Anyway, they make their way back to K. Rool's airship, free DK, and he launches the captain so hard he goes missing for months. So then the Kongs drop all their need for security. So much in fact that DK and Diddy go to the Northern Cremisphere on a vacation, and they don't return.
In fact, we can see in this
Why would you go to a place named after the people who want you dead? K. Rool's new plan is a bit different. 1. Kidnap Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong because their names were on the title of the last game. 2. Dress up as a mad scientist going by Baron K. Roolenstein. And 3. Actually prepare for additional invasions. K. Roolenstein has the 2 mind-controlled and stuck into a boss chaos, helping to direct the Kremling army and take down some of the bigger threats among the Kongs. Though he messes up, failing to recognize that literally every single Donkey Kong character is unfathomably dangerous. So Dixie goes to the most trustworthy, powerful person available in her family. Kitty Kong. November 1st, 1996, they go to the Northern Cremisphere. Funky provides the 2 with vehicles to get around. Kitty should not be operating an aircraft. You're actively asking for a disaster, but I specifically want to look at Wrinkly Kong here. In the trilogy, the extra Kongs have been providing services. Shops, tips, swank, but Wrinkly used to run the Kong College, aka the saving spot. And here she's started becoming a spiritual believer of the banana birds. I feel like I'm gonna get an infection looking at them. Essentially, the Banana Queen's almost like some sort of banana god determined to punish K. Rool for his misdeeds of mishandling the bananas. He wasn't gentle with the horde. He's gotta be put down. But Dixie and Kitty save their pals, and then Rollenstein fails escaping as their Banana Queen shoots him with an egg as punishment. Wrinkly looks at this and recognizes her old age, dedicating the remainder of her life toward receiving forgiveness and attain her ideal afterlife. This is where the handheld versions start to break from the console versions. Like in console, Country 3 Wrinkly protects banana birds in her save cave, but in handheld, Donkey Kong Land 3, she's at a retreat. She's trying to find peace before she withers away. It's weird considering the context. Like, Kitty Kong is not at the mental capacity to register that this woman is coming to terms with her inevitable death. But I gotta address this because it's entirely possible K. Rool's motivations were sparked because of Wrinkly. See, initially in the Kong College, K. Rool was a student and would be expelled because all they wanted to know was how to defeat the Kongs. Like, I appreciate them asking. It was very polite of them to just, it was worth a shot, you know? It is what it is. They gave a real effort. And with that being said, here's where we have another gap. The end of this trilogy and the jump towards the N64. But as we do that, I want to introduce some things that have been happening to the Kongs. After Country 3 Wrinkly dies, based on her attire, I'm assuming she passed away in her sleep, and I really don't want to imagine Cranky Kong waking up to that, but at the very least, praying to the banana birds, I guess, blessed her with the opportunity to haunt the greater family. So basically nothing changed. Cool. Other highlights include Funky Kong, seeing like an army ad that truly resonated with him. It's a phase. He becomes a JROTC kid. But Tiny might have the best origin. She works with the IRS. She's a genius. She has dreams of becoming a supermodel, but her intelligence is the priority. She's helping the Kong family get their taxes sent. Are they being taxed via bananas or a genuine currency? The Kongs are well established. I mean, look at Big Ape City. The movie's portrayal, they clearly have some sort of advanced life and culture. For some reason, I still struggle to comprehend Donkey Kong knowing anything about any sort of finance. K. Rool's genuinely more likely to beat DK by teaching him about the importance of a 401k and then with physical force. But that's just a fun little fact. Next up, Diddy Kong Racing.
So, let me break
both of them. November 21st, 1997 is the date we're going with, but I'm gonna squish them together. I'm gonna squish both games together. Even though the 2007 one has some changes that are very important, we're gonna ignore that and instead look at all the new pals with their own backstories. This is Wizpig, an evil alien dictator who managed to take over his planet and wants more. So, he heads over to this island owned by a family of tigers, and while the parents go on a vacation, they leave their kid Timber in charge, and he has to like maintain an entire population. It's like a royalty thing. So Wizpig shows up and he goes, guess what, bitch? This is my house. Get off my property. And he puts his icky face on a wall, immediately getting the 4 guardians of the island to work with him at a bribery or something like that. Timber and Wizpig decide the only way to settle this conflict is with a race, and he gets his pal Drumstick to take on the alien freak, and Drumstick loses. He goes missing. He's turned into a frog. This makes Timber really nervous, so he starts training alongside other island inhabitants, Tip Top, Bumper, Pipsy, and especially Taj the Genie and TT, who's gonna help determine when they're ready to take on Wizpig. Now Timber, using his rich boy networking skills, he also manages to get help from Diddy Kong, and just to make sure there isn't like an alliance or concern to be worried about, K. Rool sends out 2 Kremling spies. One of them is Crunch, who eventually helps out for the greater good, and then this unnamed one who runs away because Wizpig is... I mean, look at the render. At this point, we have a big continuity problem. The DS version has Dixie and Tiny joining, but the original only had Banjo and Conker, who would eventually get their own games. So in order to make both of them canon, I'm gonna assume that all of this happened at the same time, but based on what version, the camera would just like miss the characters out of frame. So like this party scene, Dixie Kong's just like, she has a juice box in the corner, you just can't see her. The only other problem this produces is that Tiny gets a redesign, and because after DK64 she has like a magic dream that gives her a growth spurt overnight, she goes from her DK64 design to this one. She is transformed from a small child that eats caterpillars and worms to a high school sophomore with a vaping problem. She still works as a tax official. Wow, that's a problem. It's a good thing time travel exists. There's a whole bunch of issues playing with the time travel card here. The alternative is I put DK64 before this game, but but this one came out first, so I'm gonna assume that it's fine, and it's okay, because Tip Top the Turtle, he's in a hovercraft. The game happens, the Guardians are defeated, Wizpig is defeated, the gang throws a mid-beach party, failing to recognize that beating someone in a foot race doesn't defeat them, violence does. So, Wizpig offers another fight in his planet territory, another few races, another win, Wizpig riding a rocket, then dies crashing into another planet, permanently defeating this demonic slime creature. I still can't believe this is an official render. Do I need to talk about the characters of this game's roster?
This seems a little
yes, they're technically
gnarly.
Donkey Kong characters, like Mario is technically a Donkey Kong character. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't be in the remake. As for Banjo and Conker, you know, I'm gonna say this is like a Yoshi to Mario situation, even though they're different things. The former only exists because of the latter. Plus, I'll never get the chance to talk about Conker again, so just give me this one. June 29th, 1998, shortly after the events of Diddy Kong Racing, Banjo meets and befriends Kazooie on his way back to his home, located right next to Spiral Mountain, where he lives with his little sister Tootie. Now, this is Gruntilda Winky Bunyan, and one day she asks her sentient cauldron the following: Cauldron, cauldron in the hole, who's the baddest bitch in this valley hole? Why did I rhyme hole? Never mind. He responds with Tootie, so Gruntilda gets pissed and decides to steal her beauty. But thanks to the kind souls Gruntilda has wronged in the past, like Mumbo Jumbo, Bottles, the Jinjos, and her sister, she gets obliterated and creates a crater and then gets bouldered, so she's super dead for only about a few weeks. Because 2 months later, in Grunty's revenge on the GBA, Gruntilda's assistant Klungo shows up, makes a robot suit, decides to kidnap Kazooie, and then they try to time travel before Banjo and Kazooie meet. Doesn't matter, she fails. Bad game. November 20th, 2000, 2 years after the first console game, Gruntilda's skeleton is revived by her 2 evil sisters, Mingella and Blobelda. They want revenge, they blow up Banjo's house, Bottles is killed. So Gruntilda's gonna